My conversation with Anthony Kunkel ranges broadly. I had a great time talking with him. He is a champion ultra runner and an all-around nice guy. He is a giving soul whose sole purpose is to make people better. I really had a great time talking with him, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. What's up, dude?
Nothing much, man. Just crushing a little gruel here.
All right. Is that a metaphor for something, or is it an actual product called gruel?
Oh no, it's like sardines and nutritional yeast and hemp hearts, and just like throw it in a container and put a little salt on it and throw some avocado on top. And
that sounds pretty good.
It's just like training staples.
The salt and the fat, and there's all sorts of good fat in there.
Dude, everything. And micros, man. I mean, every freaking micronutrient known to man, and it's in virgin olive oil, and they're wild caught and everything.
I'm gonna put that in the show notes. Is that like Tony's gruel? Like what do you call that?
Yeah, I mean, something like that would be good. Anthony's gruel would be good.
Anthony's gruel. Okay, you're not a Tony
down on that.
All right. What are you now?
It's just a bunch of my monk mode staples, basically, of like stuff that I'll just make sure that I'm eating every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it's like the non-negotiables are 3 eggs, hemp hearts, and sardines. And that's a pretty good start on the day. I mean, once you add red meat into there, then like, yeah, man, we're rolling. A little bit of whey protein, and it's like, it's off to the races.
Why the hemp hearts?
They're like little fat bombs, man.
Okay.
And what do we got? 10 grams of protein to 1 gram of carb, which is fiber, to 15 grams of fat. And they have like every micronutrient known to man. Plus my own like hippie bias is like, they're super sustainable. Like it takes very little energy to get this, especially if you can get local. It's very little water, very little land, high yield stuff. And so since I do eat a crap ton of animal products, like I try to be a little bit cognizant, you know?
Sure. What kind of animal products are you eating besides sardines?
Like monk mode for me is like basically a pound of red meat a day. I mean, at least 3/4 of a pound is like the absolute minimum, kind of like the 3 eggs. Mm-hmm. And both of those are animal based. And so, yeah, man, it's like, that's where a lot.
Did you say monk mode?
Yeah. That's what I call it.
Dude, that's awesome. I understood exactly what that meant. Yeah. It's just like when you're dialed in, right?
Yeah. And it's like you get up at the same time every day. At home, it's like I'll run the same route every day, like until it's so monotonous that I don't care anymore, until I just like succumb to equanimity. You know, it's like you just push and push and push until like there isn't even any resistance to push against. And it's like, that's the money. So like if I'm at home and I'm regulating everything, I mean, like my whole life, I've been telling people like I got JFK right. It took me the JFK 50. It's the oldest, like most prestigious 50-mile race in America. I mean, it's probably it's the most prestigious 50-mile race in the world, really. Because Comrades is about 50, but it's not quite 50. Mm-hmm. And so it's serious. And it's like, it's taken me 5 years. I've dropped out. Let's see, I finished 3 times. I've dropped out twice. And, you know, I ran a decent time the first year out, but it was so sick. Like the sickest I've ever been outside of a bedroom, maybe the sickest I've ever been, period. It was like standing at the start line hurt.
What do you mean sick? Like sick,
flu.
like
flu. Chills, fever, just like travel and just being crazy. I don't know.
So you went into the JFK, and I want to unpack that a little bit, because I think that some of the people that are listening are like, JFK, like that's an airport and a former president, right?
Gotcha.
And they might,
man. So I'll give you the elevator speech, man, because I'm like courting this race. Like I tell people, I at this point, like if I can't run, you know, a 5:35 next year, then like I'll drop out. And people will be like, oh my God, why'd you drop out? Like you could have won, or you could have got second or something. And I'm like, I don't care. Like winning is fine, but it's like, dude, I want to run the time that I want to run. I want to feel what I know I can feel out there. And it's like the one race out of the year that I'm leaving that. That's the rule. Like no matter what happens, I don't care what, you know, sponsor dollars or like any of it. It's like, this is my love affair. I'm courting this race. So like, I'm determined to get it right. So the like background on JFK, there was some military pamphlet or something that was floating around that said that military recruits or whoever it was should train military, should be able to strip down and move 50 miles if they had to. Like if zombie apocalypse happened, or like pulsed EMF, right? That's actually, or EMP, whatever it is. It's actually kind of reasonable. If all the cars and all the transit shut down, military troops should be able to move 50 miles in a day. And so JFK, when he was president, reissued this challenge and said, we need to do this. It needs to be a standard. And he started these races all over the place. And then one of them stuck, and it's in rural Maryland. And they've done it every year it's like the 58th year or something now. It's like, whatever, twice as old as I am.
And you won it, right?
I was second one year to Jim Walmsley, who everybody knows in the ultra world. And it was Ultra Marathon Performance of the Year that they gave him for that race. And I was second to that. And I'm telling you, dude, it was the sickest I think I've ever been. Like it's the kind of sick where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make it to the bathroom. Like that kind of sick. Like you're just
but you still cranked out 50 miles.
Yeah. And it was 5 hours and 52 minutes.
And I love how you just said it all like, nah, it was sick. Like, I was puking. And
it was respectable, but it wasn't like, you know, like I would like to break 5 hours, certainly, but that course is a little slower for that. But it's like I would like to break 5 hours in 50 miler pressingly. You know, it's like I can break 3 hours in the 50K at this point, whatever, half the weekends out of the year, feeling good. And I mean, I'm not going to go out and do it in training. It would murder me, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I could hop in a race and break 3 in the 50K pretty confidently at this point in my life. So it's like, I just have to extend that same speed out another 19 miles, which like being fat adapted and having experience and kind of, you know, I'm 29 now, so I'm kind of aging into my ability to just keep going at the same pace. And so I really think that, you know, long-term I can go way faster than that. But because there's gnarly Appalachian Trail in the first section of that race and some vert and whatnot, it was like I held my own. And a lot of people know me from that race. And then I came back the next year, and I don't even remember the order. I dropped one year. I ran like a 6:05 one year, just coming off of travel, and just like felt like death. And, you know, again, I mean, anything shy of like a 5:32, which is what I think I'm capable of like right now this year, is just disappointing. Cause, you know, to my objective mind here, it's just like the writing's on the wall. That's possible. Like I looked at the splits, I've been on the course enough, and it's like, that's what a good day, that's what feeling good is going to look like. You know, that's the time that's going to be associated, I think, with like perfect bliss for me. So I'm just chasing that. And then, you know, after I get that, then I'll be another year older, another year wiser, and have a few more things figured out. So hopefully it's like shoe tech and nutrition tech and like supplementation and food and like all these little tweaks, you know, all that adds up to minutes in the end of the training block. And
absolutely,
that's, you know, it's, especially for those of us that aren't super talented in the ultra running game, it's like it's the sport of marginal gains, right? You're just stacking up all these little things that are like, well, you know, if I do this every day for 8 weeks, it'll be worth 90 seconds off my JFK time. And it's like, dude, why even bother? It's like, well, because if I do these other dozen things too, then it's like suddenly we're, you know, 5:30 something instead of 5:40 something. So yeah,
absolutely.
That's like my shtick on that race. I'm obsessed with that race, but I've been telling people I'm going to repeat that monk mode to the hour and the sardine. Like I'm going to repeat that to the
sardine
100 calories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's same wake up time, same routes, same shoes, like all of it.
Where are you now? Because you said you were training in LA when we spoke, but you don't look like you're in LA right now. Or are you in LA?
I'm in Cedar Pines Park right now.
Okay.
So this is going to be like another way backpedal before we get to the point here.
It's fine.
But
we're just two cool dudes talking, man. It's all good.
I host people at my house in Durango all the time. Like,
okay.
Like if you want to come out there and bring your family or your training buddies or whatever, dude, I'll host you. I'll show you local trails. Like I'll cook for you, whatever, man. And this is like
awesome.
The ultra house.
Thank you.
That's like the dream, like the ultra house, right?
I want to get to that also. I don't want to go there yet because I'm digging your shirt and I've done a little research on it. I think that's just really cool. I don't want to unpack that just yet, but so you're in Colorado now. Let's stay on JFK for just another minute because I love your monk mode an analogy because it rings true, and then your religion of preparation, I think, is at your level of competition it's absolutely crucial. But here's my question is, I mean, you said you were like there's a lot of, when I was heavy into OCR, like there's a lot of guys who would like move to Colorado and just live there and get ready for, because you're at altitude, and then you just come and crush guys like us at sea level. And also, if we're talking like people like Hunter McIntyre, they're going to crush me just, sea level or not.
That's actually why I'm here in California right now. So this is Hunter's place right here. That's why I'm in nowhere, Cedar Pines, California, Cedar Pines Park, California.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what about getting to JFK territory, a week ahead of time? And like, what is your, here's my question. When you're in monk mode, what does it look like? When do you arrive for the race? Like, cause it sounded like when you're saying it sounded like you just hopped off the plane, did a little warm up jog, maybe shake out and then go. But that can't be.
Tried that, man. The freaking going east
doesn't work.
It doesn't so much work. Yeah.
No.
But like, I mean, real talk, my last race, I screwed up with travel. I mean, I've been on the big island of Hawaii for the last 4 months and like super rural. So in my head, I booked a Wednesday flight. That's what I do now. You know, I used to do like Friday for a Saturday race, you know, when I was young and more young and more broke. And yeah, it was like, and then I moved it back to Thursday and was like, I get a day to chill. And now I'm like, my life affords me the flexibility now at this point. I can go whenever I want. And that's so great. I typically book Wednesday flights. And in my mind, I booked a Wednesday flight, but in functionality, it looked like all day Tuesday with like prep and travel and getting out of rural Hawaii and then like flying out, whatever it was, Wednesday night. And then Wednesday, it was a red eye. And then it was like a connecting flight. And then it was like, showed me up in Memphis. It's like, I had to get to my mom's place on Thursday and then had to get to the race venue on Friday and then raced on Saturday. And I was like 2 full nights of missed sleep easily behind.
So yeah, red eyes are never a good idea if you have like a race schedule to keep up with. You said Memphis, and you said, did your mom live in Memphis?
Yeah, she's in Collierville. She's right outside.
Oh, shit, that's awesome. I'm from Memphis originally. That's
man. You know,
yeah, small world. I did not know that.
Yeah,
cool. I'm actually headed back there next week. Looking forward to it. Okay, so anyway, so JFK is in November, you said, and so what are you gonna do to prepare? Like, you know, I mean, you've got this a little more freedom with your schedule to, I mean, I would get there, you know, what is it on a Saturday, you know, 5 days ahead of schedule, make sure like to look at the weather. Okay.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards, I'll probably bump it. You know, it's kind of been that stepwise process over the last few years of like, you know, first it's the day before, then it's 2 days, now it's 3 days or whatever. So I'm probably, I think this lesson coming from Hawaii, because it was 4 or 5 hours of a time difference, 4 hours of a time difference to Central Time. Plus your overnight flight is 6.5 hours. So it feels like you're losing a whole day. It's like, it's miserable.
Yeah,
and I can't,
you don't get any kind of
sleep
rest.
Upright. I can't sleep upright. I just can't do it. I can't sleep against
the window. I
can't do it.
On a little desk thing. Like, no,
I've tried
the worst.
That, yeah. But
it's the worst.
It was zero sleep. Even coming up here, it was zero sleep. So
it sounds like if you were able to rock out and take second place with flu-like symptoms, and you can dial in your prep for the race, it sounds like, you know, I don't want to say you got it in the bag, because then you're not going to be as hungry for it. But
I mean, it'll happen.
Yeah,
I'm at the point where
it sounds like
what was it like Phil Heath when he won his first Olympia? Like shortly after, he said, you know, I'm not somebody that's going to be defined by winning Mr. Olympia. I'm going to be somebody it's going to be how many times I win it. And like, nice. I'm genuinely like, I'm training for this race this year with the idea that like, this is probably my first win, but I'm going to have a few of them. I mean, the most, I'd have to look up what the most people have won. The most anyone's won is 3 in a row, but it was like unimpressive time, slightly less unimpressive time, and then course record. It was like, he got lucky, course record. And then it was like, for me, it's been like, had a solid day, you know, faster than, you know, that day that I was second, the dude that won his first year out there. So comparing his first year to my first year, I was faster than him, and he won with a slower time than I ran. So
right.
It's like,
right. But how much, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's like, that's a potential win, you know? So it's like, all you can really do is go there every year and just bring your A game and just romance the course like I am. And just, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm really more about the time that I want to run. And I think winning whatever, at least a couple of times should be a side effect of running what I want to run there. And it's fun to have something every year that's relatively static. Like the weather's been pretty consistent, and as far as things go, and it's like, it's a static thing to kind of like come back to every single year and test myself against, because, you know, there's a lot of nebulous stuff. I mean, even more so with OCR, where, well, I ran faster, but it was a different course, or they changed
was snowing
or whatever. And who knows? It's like totally subjective. And it's like, it's like, I felt good, but I ran slower. It's like, what do I do with that? And so it's nice to have a little bit of like repetition every year of it doesn't change, you know, to
find that constant that you can compare yourself to. Like if you've got all your preparation is constant, and to have a course or an event, I guess, that is also a constant. That's what I love about OCR. It's like, just be ready, you know, do your best that you can to be ready. They take all the variables that you can control them to the max. And if you can, you know, uproot yourself and move to altitude, go for it. But something's going to happen, like there might be a double sandbag, or it might be icy, or, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming from altitude, here's the thing. I think a lot of people screw up the altitude thing.
Well, how's that?
People do tend to view it like you just go to altitude and you stay there for a while, even like 4 weeks, right? 3 weeks, whatever it is. And then you come back and you crush. And I would assert that probably works better in OCR than it does straight running. Because running, with pure running, you're building the aerobic engine. Yeah, like that's what most people think of. It's like, if I could just breathe less hard, then I would run faster. and that's true. Like, it's somewhat true. It's more that you got faster until you're breathing easier, though. It's like chicken or the egg, I guess, or a sleight of semantic hand, maybe even. The catch is, especially for like 100K, right? If I'm doing 50-mile race pace or like 100K race pace, we're looking at 5-ish hours, 5 to 7 hours of running. That pace at sea level is easy. I can do it any day of the week. I could do it 3 days a week. I could do 10-mile segments of it, or 20-mile long runs at that pace, 5 to 7 hour race pace. You put that up at altitude with rolling hills, and it's just fast enough that if I did it that regularly, I would end up burnt out or injured or worse, right? And so there's a little bit of finesse going on here, where I have to balance the need to run race pace and build economy, build efficiency at race pace with the increased aerobic demand of being at altitude. And I think that's what a lot of people screw up. So like, one of my favorite ways around it is overspeed training with downhills. So like, before I got on the plane to fly out here, I caught a downhill, and it was like really steep and then kind of flat and then really steep and then kind of uphill. And like, I banged out this 417 mile, which is the fastest mile I've run in 6 months or more under any circumstances. And so the nervous system is like 417. It doesn't know the difference between the aerobic system or not. So even though you're working easier, so that makes up for the aerobic factor. So back in Durango, like, if you come out and visit, the classic route that I do is from the Colorado Trailhead, which is right behind my house, and it's 486 miles of unbroken trail to Denver. So choice, right?
Yeah.
But it starts right there on road and comes down and goes down and loops around through town to a local skate park. And there's a 7-mile route that I do, and it loses a little bit over 500 feet of altitude. And the math, like the Jack Daniels formula, the math behind that, the aerobic function data behind there says you need about 110 feet a mile to make up for our altitude. So that looks and feels like downhill, and it is, but it's actually a little less than you need to make up for the altitude. And what I find is, when I can do that 7-mile segment feeling just competent, not confident, but just tolerable, I can go down to sea level and do that for a marathon, and it'll feel easier. And so, like, there's little finesses like that. It's like, that's a good thing to have, especially when I'm at home and I'm monk mode. It's like, I can assess my marathon or 50K fitness just based on doing that route. If I can do it in a relaxed mindset and just kind of find flow and enjoy it, and not have to like recruit somebody to pace me and wear race shoes and like caffeinate out my brain like I am today. And
what your brain? What'd you say?
Caffeinate out my brain.
Oh, caffeinate. Gotcha.
Yeah. Then when I'm ready to do that, then that tells me that kind of fitness that I have. So it's good to have little things like that, but overspeed training, downhill, that sort of stuff is super helpful.
That's interesting, because I never thought of that. I mean, I know the concept of downhill running and the benefits of it physiologically but mostly to arm the joints against impact. I never thought of it from the aspect of a neurological benefit. And that's brilliant, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Man. Yeah, that's a good little hack.
I find that I kind of almost died on a mountain with Johnny Luna Lima. And I don't know if you remember my buddy Eli Markstrom. We did a podcast called The Obstacle Order way back when. He's a mean runner. Like there's Johnny, there's Eli, and then there's me down here. I'm just strong. I go through things and over things. And we're out in Mount Diablo, and we start bombing down this hill, and I open up. We were on a 16-mile route. And I open up, and we're on like mile 7. And I'm just like, oh, this feels great. And Johnny's like, easy, buddy. And I'm like, you just got the endorphins going. I'm like, yeah, I'll stop up at the bottom. It's fine. And I bonked. I had bad nutritional choices with me. I had some new granola that was very, very dry, and it made me run through my water much, much quicker. And then you got the California heat, midsummer, and I actually took a wrong trail too, so I added 3 miles. Blah blah blah. So that downhill halfway through the 16-miler absolutely crushed me. 7 miles later. But no, that's a great pro tip. Thank you. So you just got back from, let me back up here. I'm
my timeline's nuts, man. It sounds glamorous, doesn't it? It's like one of those things where you sit back and you're like, oh, I'm just coming from the Big Island to California to train with these bros, and then I'm heading off to NYC to run this national championship race, and then I'll head back to Denver for a little bit, maybe hop in the Leadville Marathon, and then just like hitchhike home back to Durango. And it's like it sounds freaking glamorous, and I feel like it's happened so slowly over the last few years that I feel like my self-image is still that I'm just like starving and just barely going to make it through. And that's the truth, right? Like there's no money in this.
There's love, glorious. There's passion, and there's story. Exactly. There's glory and story. And that's one thing I didn't understand. Like when I'm in a different place now with business and family. But when I completely devoted myself to OCR probably 4 years ago now, it was, you try, like when you're at, I'm not at your level as a runner, but when you're like, all you do is train and get ready to train again. Mm-hmm. And like, there's no like, oh, what, like, how's your, there's no hobbies. There's, you drink water, and then you eat avocados and sardines, and then you stretch a lot. And then you talk about running more. And like, I think that like a lot of people, to say that it's glamorous, like it might be, I think it's, I don't want to say it's uneducated, but it's like, it's not glamorous. It's cool. It's cool. They're like, oh, wow. Like you're a champion. It must be nice. And you're like, man, it's hard as shit. Like to devote yourself to this lifestyle. Cause it's, you hit the nail on the head, man. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a full-time job.
I tell people it's exactly what I want out of life, and I love every second of it, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
I love that. Say it again so we can take that audio out and post.
I love my lifestyle and would not change a thing, and I have fought to the death. Through what should have been multiple times of starving artists succumbing to starvation to get to this point, and I wouldn't wish my life on anyone.
Love it. So, all right, you were in Volcano.
Yeah, Volcano, Hawaii.
Were you running across? You were across Kilauea Iki or the caldera of Kilauea itself? Where were you running?
I was right. I hit all of them, but I was right.
Nice.
Oh, I hit all of them that the park rangers say that I'm allowed to, is what I meant to say.
There you go. Man, be careful. Those volcanic gases will kill you.
Dude, they're pure, man. I need it, It's like, I'm like, that's probably killing something.
Do you by chance watch Rick and Morty?
I know the concept just a little bit.
Okay, man. There that is a direct quote from Rick and Morty. There's a dragon episode, and he's like, the dragon goes to Rick. He's like, do you partake in volcanic fumes? And Rick's like, I don't know. Will it fuck my brain up? And he's like, try this. And he opens the earth up, and they're like, and then it goes into this montage of, it's awesome. Just check it out.
Nice.
All right. So you're in Volcano, and did you stay? So I was in Volcano 2 years ago, and we stayed in these jungle yurts that were just absolutely amazing. And we did some running across. It was like 8 miles, nothing super duper crazy.
Yeah, just running in the park, man.
Kilauea was actually closed because it had just had a small eruption. So Kilauea Iki was.
Yeah.
Oh, is it still?
You can still see the glow. It's still steaming hard, and yeah.
Okay. All right. And you're just like, yeah, let's go check that out. I'm gonna just wish that.
Like perks of being a runner, right?
Yeah. Right. Catch me if you can.
Or a scientist. That's who's actually allowed back there, but.
It's all for research purposes.
Yeah.
So what were you doing out there for 4 months? And that does sound glamorous. There's no way around that.
Yeah, totally. I just met this girl in November, Lency.
Okay.
We'll tag her in the show notes or something.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I met her in November, and we just we clicked really well, and just like deep intellectual levels is like we need to chase this out. And I was like, listen, I'm going to DC. I'll panhandle the sponsors if you want to come through me. And it's like we met November 1st, and Actually, we met at a trade show like years ago, like 2016, 2017. And we just stayed in touch on Instagram. And then she was like, I want to get into running. I'm going to come down and train Cation with you. And just like, you're in full monk mode. I get it. Like, I won't impede on anything. Like, I want to eat what you eat. I want to train where you train. I want to just do everything with you for monk mode. And it's like, for me, it's like every hour is planned. I get done with that run and the food's the same. And then I sit in my coffee shop and the coffee's the same and decaf and heavy cream. And then I'll sit there and I'll write for a certain amount of time, or I'll take a nap. And it's like, those are the only options for the day. And then I'll go train again. It's like every day is on repeat there. So it's down to the meal in the hour, really. And so she hopped in and she's been plant-based for like a decade, like a hard decade. She gets there night one. She gets there night one and just like lays into a ribeye steak with me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And like, she felt great, which to me, it validates her whole veganism, that she could just like eat a steak and not be sick. Like you hear people that are like, oh my God, like, that had fish sauce in it. And now I'm sick. It's like, no, it's not. Like, come on.
Come on now.
If your diet is making you weaker to the things that you're not doing, then instead of stronger, then I think you're missing the point somewhere. So she thrived, loved it. And whatever, that wins some mad respect with me in and of itself, that it's like, you're dedicated and you have the discipline, but you're also not dogmatic about it. You're like, this guy's crushing. He's intentional about food. He's going local grass fed. Like, let's do this. And we clicked. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to DC. This was for JFK, actually. Do you want to crew me? And she's like, absolutely, let's go. I've never been to DC. I've always wanted to. So we went to DC together. And then we get back and it was like, yeah, this is going well. Like, maybe this is going places. Like, let's just keep hanging out. But also, the end of January, I'm gonna be going to the Big Island of Hawaii, and I'm gonna get a plot of land, and I'll sleep in a tent if I have to, whatever I'm gonna have to do, and like maybe I'll get a van and just like a few different options. And I was like, sure, let's do it. If I have access to altitude, and
she was going to Hawaii, and that was okay. Got it. Okay, I understand.
That was pre me. Her plan was to just like disappear. And she was kind of entertaining the idea of just like shaving her head and going into an ashram and just like going full like legit monk mode. I think that's part of why like my branding. She was like, oh, I get it, So she's like, yeah, I'm going to go down there. And I said, yeah, what's rough the timeline? Like, what kind of like training potential? Like, what are we talking about? Is this a place that I want to live or want to be in for a month or 2 months or 4, whatever it ends up being? And it was like, all right, this is pretty sweet. Like, there's awesome off-grid culture, and there's loads of endless local food, and there's ahi tuna roadside for $2.50 a pound, and like it's an absolutely right?
gorgeous part of the Hawaii island chain. Now, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So then we went out there. It was January 29th, I think was our flight, and I said, all right, I'll stay here, and I can like clear land and whatever you need done for me. Like, I'm yours to put to work for like 90 minutes a day, 60, 90 minutes a day, because I'm going to be training in between. And then I'm going to go run Strolling Gym, which is the last race that I screwed up with the time changes and the travel and everything. That was May 1st. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to go back to Durango after May 1st. And because we were just like a month behind on everything down there with like closing and all that stuff, I ended up coming back till I came here. So I ended up staying for like an extra month. And now I'm on a week here, a week in the Northeast for the 50K champs. And then I'm going back home, but probably a stopover in Leadville to try to run the marathon first to get into the 100. Cause I'd like to do that this year, but
just
with
pick
COVID,
that
everything's
up.
all full and like, it's hard, it's hard to
Yep. Sorry, go ahead. I'll wait.
No, you're good, man. I think that was it. I'm just saying, it's like, it's rough this year. All the events that are happening are like capped and have to like do things differently and stuff.
So that's exactly what I wanted to ask you about. Like, it's got to be exciting that races are back on. I had a baby 2 weeks before everything shut down in California. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, everybody's on maternity leave with my wife, so we'll just ride this out. But now it's a year and 3 months later, and we're supposed to be back to normal. But like you see, some of these races are back on. And as someone who I've been out of the circuits for I've been dadding it and doing some business stuff, but like what is that like? You said it was tough, but like, I mean, you got to be what, like 3 months ahead, 4 months ahead, 6 months ahead. And the competition's got to be even higher now because they're capping it, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of hit or miss at certain races. So like some of these races are when they're open or when they're invite only, if you can submit a resume and get in,
right.
If they save elite entries for you and offer elite entries, then these races are pressure cookers because there's so few races that it's nuts. I mentioned I ran a time that could have won most years at JFK with a 550 something, low 550 something. I ran low 540 something this year and I was fourth. So it's like my time would have won. They said it's something like 56 of the 58 years or something crazy like that. I would have won with the time that I ran, and I was fourth. Like I wasn't even on the podium. It's like, that's nuts. So you're seeing plenty of that. And I think that's why you're seeing world records and things like that. But then the problem is Leadville, they don't save elite entries. So at the top, it'll probably be less competitive than ever because everyone that's elite isn't going to enter in a lottery. You're not going to be like,
right,
I want to do the Leadville 100. I'm going to enter the lottery in December and hope I get in. It's like,
right.
You can't plan your life around a hope,
Right. So, but you're going to stop off and run the Leadville Marathon I thought you said you were going to try to qualify for the Leadville 100.
Yeah. If you place well there, you can get a coin into the 100. And so I'm not trying to ask anybody to get me into the 100, although maybe I could run on a charity bib or something, which sounds nice, but I don't, if I was passionate enough to already be running for the charity, then I would feel better about that. But since I'm not, I feel like I'm just panhandling to a charity for it. So that's the idea with that. But I have to just I do have to talk them into giving me a bib because what the final say was, we're capped. I could help you next year maybe, or we could talk, but we're capped. Like with COVID stuff, my hands are tied. And I was like, hey man, thanks for taking the time. Everything's good. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, listen, 10% of every field doesn't show up to the start line. And in this year, it's like, I bet you 5% of the field will get COVID and not be able to travel, or like grandma will get COVID, or like their kid will get sick, or like,
right.
There's a million things.
The irony of this is that the COVID cap will probably be, people will get it and not show up.
Yeah.
So give me a bib is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I'm thinking, at the average race, even like Boston, every year at Boston, 40,000 some runners sign up and pay almost $300 an entry fee and book airfares and everything. And then 10% of them don't show up on the start line. And it's like, that's entirely typical. That's what races do. You have about a 10% that just,
life happens.
Did not start. Yeah. So my thought is, all right, if you're at 40% capacity and 10% of it doesn't show up, then 4% of your potential capacity could be for elites in this case, or at least for me. Right. And so I have history in Leadville. I was in Leadville for more than 2 months when I was there training for the 100 last time. And I was leading the 100 for a good long stretch, and then got off course and just things went catastrophically wrong from there.
Worst.
But yeah, so it was just some mismanaged stuff. It was race management. It wasn't fitness. It wasn't anything like that. So
let me ask you this. So what does it take? So you can't buy your way into Leadville because of the cap. Is that accurate?
You probably could. You probably could.
What is the like actual ticket cost to get in?
Like the race entry, or like how
yeah.
Would you get in? The race entry is like $385 or something.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I'm just curious. And all right. So we got to get you $385, man. Just I'm gonna put it out there. If you're listening to this show, I'm starting to GoFundMe. Get Anthony into Leadville.
We can do something like that. I gotta get the coin though. I gotta panhandle for the Leadville Marathon, and then run well.
Let's be honest here. You'll get the coin, right? Now I'm putting my honor behind it. No, you get that coin, Anthony.
The thought is, it's like I dropped that 417 mile, like it wasn't a big deal. I think my max heart rate was like barely into the 160s, if that. And it was super relaxed, and so it's like I can run downhills, and I could do that for days, right? So the thought is, you don't really feel altitude at the ups, or you don't really feel altitude at the down. You just feel altitude on the way up. Mm-hmm. So my thought is, I can just sandbag the up and just kind of chill in top 10 or whatever it is. And then we turn around Mosquito Pass and we lose from 13,000 feet. You drop a ton, gain a little bit, drop a ton, and you finish at about 10,000 feet. And so I can drop some bombs on that back end. So that's the thought. Is I'm just gonna go up at a reasonable heart rate and not see stars, and I'm gonna turn around and just crush.
Yeah. Draw that hammer on the back half.
Yeah, because I am coming from 4,000 feet. It's like it's not altitude. I'm not living and training and sleeping in Leadville like I was when I did the 100 last. So Yeah, man, there's some factors in there, but I'm fast, you know. It's like the altitude would have to literally knock me over for me to not run well there. But
well,
I have plenty of experience.
Let's put that on the back burner and maybe come back to it, because I don't see why, you know, that'd be a fun little project. When is the Leadville, or when is the marathon? Sorry.
The marathon's June 19th.
Oh, that's coming up.
So I'm running the 50K national champs on the 13th, and then I'm flying back to Denver that Monday, hanging out in Denver, or maybe going to Leadville, and then I'm gonna hopefully slide into that race.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna put that one on the back burner. That's still a good 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away from when we're talking right now. What did you say that I wanted to talk about? What do you do when you're like, what do you do for money? What do you do when you're not training? Like you're a coach, obviously, right? You have other runners.
I coach a little bit. Yeah, I coach a little bit. I like to be really, I use the word invasive. You know, it's like if we can't talk about like your sex life and like your relationships with people and you know, your dog training, and like if we can't like really go into all this stuff, you know, if you're not willing to like read a book for me occasionally and things like that, then I'm just at this point there's no amount of money that's worth it. There probably is, you know, you name a price high enough, but there's no amount of reasonable money to ask somebody that's worth me telling them something and them not following it. You know, I would rather,
I agree.
I would rather charge people what I need to charge just to keep myself alive, you know, and then really dive in and give them, you know, more than you could buy, hopefully, is the idea, right?
I think a lot of people, they say like they hire a coach. Well, for instance, like some of my clients, most of them were very serious at this point in my career. Mm-hmm. Some of them earlier on in my career wanted to have a trainer or a health coach to say that they had a trainer and or health coach. Yeah. And those are the kind of people that are like, well, you know, they just didn't take it seriously enough. And I'm lucky enough to have kind of like curated my books to be able to work with the people that I really enjoy working with.
Yeah, that's the dream, right?
It's pretty sweet. It is. So if you were going to have one of your athletes read a book, I mean, that was a out of left field. What would it be and why? Or do you have a specific book? Was that
It depends on the athlete. I mean,
so
what are you working through here? What are you working through right now? Or what was the last like philosophical breakthrough that you had? It could be relative to training, or it could be how you exist as a human organism.
The reason that I don't train long distance anymore is because I have several businesses and a family, and it took me away from that for too long. I can't be out on the road for or the trail for 3.5, 4 hours training anymore. And then there's travel time, and then you're absolutely wrecked in an ice bath. So one of the things that I had to strategize around is find how can I get a similar effect. I know I'm not going to be, 179 like at my peak OCR physique, and how can I get a similar effect, training effect, while keeping my schedule.
Yeah, man, that's a good one. I don't even know what I would even.
That's where I am, man. That's where I am right now.
Yeah, I think I'd have to actually be working with you for like a month to have a better recommendation on there. But
cool. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah, I think it's important that you don't look at that as a disability. I think a lot of people see that and you know, you're clearly not wallowing in it, but like a lot of people see that as like, you know, I got X, Y, and Z stopping me. But I tend to try to flip that on its head. And maybe this is my own justification for existence as an athlete, of just doing this inherently selfish thing of just like training and living and reading and just like personal growth all the time. It's like, I feel like I'm a professional student, you know, I just like get to do me all the time.
The most interesting people are. Yeah, I totally agree with you, man.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be a little cracked, right? You got to be a little out there. That's how you push the boundaries. That's like artistic expression to me, really, is you have to be on the fringe to kind of like show the world what's possible, or create the words that people can then articulate those thoughts that you've kind of unearthed or discovered or articulated for the world. And then that gives them a lexicon that they can then use to interact with their own world. Right. Yeah. And I think it's important to see all that as your own humanity, right? Like your family, your personal life, your work. That's all an expression of your raw humanism, right? Like your human existence, your organism, it's what you're doing here. It's what you're like here to do, right? With a capital H. And so I think it's super important to take that as you, and it's not just a take though. Like people see that as a one-way street or at least they talk about it. And I'm worried that speaking about it like that is wiring your brain to see it that way of, I would like to go train long and I'm going to train shorter because I have to go to my daughter's swim meet or something. It's so much cooler. Oh my gosh. Come on.
It's all good, man.
It seems much more enlightened, maybe a strong word, to see it as a, I get to do these things. That's a pretty common like word spin there of I get to do these things. But even beyond that this is an expression of who I am. And it's not just that it's taking time away from training. It's that it's giving me more human fact. It's raising your own stock. It just might be a little bit more diverse than just diving down one rabbit hole, staying on one track. And so then when you go to race, you're then racing with all these things as well. You're racing with your problems and your successes and your family and all this stuff. You're not only justifying your training then that was hard to fit in around the time, but you're justifying the time that you weren't training. You're justifying their input into your life, just like you're justifying your own input out into theirs. And there's this like kind of symbiosis that I have imagined, and I have the idea in my head, and I don't have it articulatable quite yet, but I'm kind of working there.
No, you're
trying to bring your whole self right into your sport, and that allows you to use this sport as a platform or as a game, like any sport should be, to then bring your whole self into other things as well. If you're bringing your love for your kids into your sport, then you're naturally going to bring your love for your sport into your kids, and both of them are going to just like resonate and link up and create more and more and more of you, which is the ultimate everything, right? I mean, that's more of you is what we all want. So,
man, I I want you to coach me now, man. That was pretty deep on a lot of levels, and the way that you broke it down and articulated it, that's exciting that you just said that. I want to ask one question, and then I want to talk Ultra House for just a second, and then I got to wrap up because I have another appointment coming in just a few minutes.
Gotcha.
What do you love besides your sport? And that, when I say your sport, I mean prepping for it. I mean, mashing avocados into your face, buying new shoes, getting into races under the radar. What do you love?
Probably reading, man. I think reading and stand-up are two things that take up 50% or more of my non-running existence.
Okay.
But I kind of see it as like kind of what I was getting at there of, the more exposure I get to the idea that someone's walking around their life looking for ways to spin what just happened to them into comedy and articulate that in a way that other people will resonate with that and understand that and like this give and take dance between you and life. And so like I've done a little bit of slam poetry, and like I'm going to do some stand up this summer. I think just like it's on my bucket list because I think everyone has that in them, right? I think everyone has like an awesome slam poem, and everyone has an awesome 10-minute, like just killing it, crushing
Comedy's
it. Like
hard.
10, 20,
Comedy's
maybe
hard,
60 minutes of comedy. Because like no matter how funny you think you are, you're probably funnier. And if you think you're not funny, you're probably really freaking funny. Like your life is weird. You're weird. Like go get on a train and look around, get on public transport and look around and tell me the average person isn't weird. You're the average person. You're one of those people. They're all looking at my skinny ass in my tights with my freaking whatever balls pushing out of them. And they're like, look at this guy. And it's like I'm just like pretty and skinny and tan. I'm like all the things that I'm supposed to be if I was a woman, but not a dude. And so it's like, it's great. I was like this close to having everything, but then it's like, I got dude parts and it's just like, so close. And it's like, so I think that like levity, that ability to bring light of just the human existence is so beautiful. And it's so, again, that give and take, it's so pertinent to running because it's like, you can sit there and be like, man, this sucks. But you look around, it's like birds don't suffer, migrating animals don't suffer. They just do it. You just do it because you got to do it. And we've always had to do it. We've never had the choice. And so there's kind of beauty in that choice. That's like the supreme human thing is choice, and being disciplined is freedom, right? You can't choose between something unless you know you can do without it. I can't choose to be your friend, to show up for you, if I don't know for a fact that you can live without me and I can live without you. If we need each other, we can't choose to be with each other.
Right.
And so I think it's like that with anything. It's like that with carbs. It's like that with running socks. It's like that with anything. It's like, if you can't live without it for sure, then you're a slave to it. You're just a slave to your whims and whichever way the wind blows. And so like, there's something to that aspect that I draw in there of that levity. And so, dude, stand up, man. I love going through stand up. Like I was so tickled that Bert Kreischer was like emceeing for Zach Bitter for this treadmill 12-hour world record, 100-mile world record.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, freaking the machine is crewing for an ultra.
Great.
It's great. And it's like, he runs a little bit. I was like, I love him even more now. It's like, this is awesome. This is the dream.
What do you kind of, I'm sorry, slipped my words there. What types of books do you like to read?
Yeah. So the bookend is kind of similar. I think like it feels so decadent. It's like being able to have, chocolate cake, right? If you send me out into the wilderness and give me the rest of my life, I don't think I could grow everything I needed to make a chocolate cake, right? I mean, that's like such a refined, in a good way potentially, but a refined chunk of like what we've done as humans. I think it's the same with stand-up.
Is being able to make chocolate cake?
Is being able to make anything. Like if I had to go out, if I had to harvest, I don't even know where plastic comes from,
like,
man.
How does
if
that?
I had
How do we do
make
that?
This water bottle,
not going to happen.
There's no freaking way. I mean, in Hawaii, I can grow these, right? But only because they're already there and they want to grow there. It's like, I can't grow these in Durango.
You can grow those. You can grow them by just, here, I've grown this. Here we go. That's picking.
I left this there and it grew. And now I get
right. Look at that.
But yeah, so it's like
mastery
this extremely distilled version of the human experience. And that's kind of what I'm trying to offer other people, is when I go out and train, hopefully I'm getting somewhere, I'm learning something. And if I can distill that into something and present that and package it and bottle it, sell it, that's the dream, right? And it doesn't have to be a profitable selling, give it away, whatever it is. But if I can offer that to the world, then that's my masterpiece, right? That's what I'm offering. That's my artistic expression. And I think books are on the same exact vein, man. Books are on the same. If I read like Brothers Karamazov, has to be my favorite book ever. It genuinely changed my life. Brothers Karamazov. It's by Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be reading that or like audiobooking on a run, and I would get back and I'd pause it and I would have to like massage my face, like fix my face from the duress and the feelings that I was getting before I went and interacted with the world, because it was like it blew my mind, right? Yeah. To see someone that was so connected to the human experience that they were able to make all these characters so identifiable. Like that bit that I just said, that I have to be able to package this and put it into a serious aspect or a funny aspect, or to present it as if it's valuable, when, the adage might be like, don't give up. And it's like, it's some banal like throwaway, but I really realized it. Right. I mean, I think that's one more thing that we get from psychedelics, is like, you use psychedelics and you get these banal kind of like mundane adages that are like, love is all. And you're like, no, you don't understand what I just said. Love is everything.
There's so much more than those three words in that statement.
And it's like, how do I package this and give this to someone and make sure that it lands? Because
that's the trick.
It's almost just as disingenuous to give somebody something that they don't understand than it is to lie to them. I mean, I really do see it as a lie. For me to not put it in a way that you can understand, I feel like it's a lie. I feel like it's misaligned. And so
good follow up there. It's your responsibility to explain it to them so that they can understand it on your level.
Yeah. And so I see those two, the reading and the comedy, and even, sliding right back into the running, but it's like, I see that as this distilled human experience. And it feels, the reason I say like chocolate cake, it feels like it's so distilled to the point where I could have never come up with it myself. And I can go on to Netflix and get somebody's best hour of their life that they've performed 100 times or 1,000 times, and refine to the point that it's a world record. And I just get to go on there and just watch them kill it. And it's like, it's no different than classic literature. I mean, I've been handed down books that people way smarter than me, that have bigger experiences than I'll ever have said, this book is powerful. And I get to just pick it up and read it. Sometimes, like, I'm a big LibriVox fan. They're free audiobooks in the public domain, free to download, read by volunteers. It's like I can download that into a watch or into a headset or into my phone or whatever, and I can just audiobook while I'm out there solo, and I can just crush classic literature, or go through for a second time. If I read it once, sometimes it helps to hear it again or to go through a few times. And yeah, man, it's decadent. I mean, that's the word that I think describes it the best, is I get to read the best of the best of the best of the best. It's like if you and me were 100 times the bigger deals than we currently are, and we were having this conversation, it still wouldn't touch being able to read like Dostoevsky for free. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's like one of the greatest minds to ever live, and I can just do it. Like, it's not a big deal.
There's a book I want to put on your radar. It's called The Information by James Gleick.
The Information?
The Information, Gleick. It's about the kind of history of the transfer of information, and it goes from African drums to Alan Turing to modern computation, and transferring information over. Like, this is how it started. Obviously, like two people talking, but then how does it transcend time, space, and distance? Okay, so real fast, tell me about Ultra House, please. What is it? It's a dope ass name. And is it how to start?
Yeah. I was hosting people at my house. I was like, I freaking busted my ass. I finally have my place. It's exactly where I want it to be. I have all the amenities that I need. And it doesn't do me any good to just like hoard these and just be the only person using them. Like, I want my friends over. And I'm like a manic extrovert anyway. It's like, I want friends over. I want people using my stuff. I want people to train with. And I don't care if you live in town, just come over and run. I don't care if you're from out of town and I have to put you up on the couch or park a van out front or whatever it may be. Like, I want this to be offered to the world. I don't want to just hoard it. And so that's where I was coming from. And I took a trip down to Phoenix, and I was like, hey guys, I just want to crash with some runner, like who's got feedback. And they say, I'll go talk to Miguel. So I talked to Miguel, and he's like, yo, man, Ultra House Phoenix, let me host you. And I was like,
Medina?
If you're the Ultra House Phoenix, I'm the Ultra House Durango. And it's like, instantly clicked. And now it's like Ultra House Seattle and Ultra House Salt Lake City and like whatever. I mean, what Hunter's trying to do here is super aligned with Ultra House. It's like, I would bless this as Ultra House status if he wants it. And
it seems like it.
It's that idea of, when you build this life, again, like a inherently selfish existence, right? Like, I just want to be jacked and tan. It's like, okay, like, I just want to be fast, like, what do I want out of life? Well, I want to be fast. It's like, well, what are you going to do for people? Well, I'm going to be fast in front of them. It's like, no, like, you gotta give a little bit more than that.
Damn right.
And so
give it out,
opening it up to the world, man, that's the dream. And so that's the motivating factor behind the Ultra House. And then each location puts their own little spin on it of, like Miguel is big with like the Latino running community in Phoenix. No one targets them. And it's like, they have health issues. They could use running. Running is cheap and awesome and great. And it's a perfect place to do it down in Phoenix, especially in the winter. And so he's just been like bullseye in that community that no one's given any attention to.
So what about people who want to be involved but aren't quite ready physically or mentally? Like, have you had that hurdle yet? Have you, like, someone's like, yeah, I'm going to come run with you. And then you're like, all right, here we go. And they're like, I'm clearly not ready for this.
Yeah.
You're a giving person. You're a very kind person. I can tell we've been talking for an hour now. But how do you cross that threshold? And then I hate to do this, but I have to jump off after this question.
Okay? No, man. Yeah. Do it up. It's been great, man. We can always just like drop some lines back and forth, but part of it is like, I do a lot of really slow training, and I don't mind 11-minute miles here and there. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. So it's like, I can go vibe with somebody just to show them some route, or then we can do out and back routes and be like, I'll see you in whatever, 90 minutes and I'll be back around, or just, show them a map and get local beta. And then our group runs with Durango, Miguel's got his thing going on in Phoenix, and they got their things going on in Seattle and Salt Lake, and like Hunter's got his thing going on here. And then my thing with Durango is like hopefully the elite end. Like, I want to house the fastest of the fast, like the guys that are underfunded and hungry and trying to represent Team USA internationally and still don't get the funding. It's like, I want to house them. I want to deck them out with shoes. I want to give them food. Like, I want to fund this corner of sport. And, I don't have the resources to do that, but I got the vision. It's like, it's there and it's earnest and it feels so real that I just need the right person to be like, that's a good idea. I'll take care of it. Be like, all right, cool.
Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe we'll get a nonprofit status or something like that might help. And
yeah,
with that
that's
in
not a bad
mind,
idea.
with that in mind, and with making the elite, so the fast people available to everyone else, and, you know, to pick their brains like you and I right here, is we do like 4 to 5 group runs a week in Durango. One of them's at my house, and we do like a protein bar afterwards. And it's like you just throw up whatever sponsor stuff you got on there, and people get to try it out and be like, oh, this is plant-based from Garden of Life. This is good stuff. Yeah, they support Team USA. You know, like, oh, this is Go Condition and First Form, and like whatever it is. And you get to kind of like, you know, pool this idea. I love that. It feels so earnest. But with the group runs, we'll do a group that'll do typically like 3 miles in 33 to 35 minutes. And then we'll have another group, we'll have another group that'll do like 6 miles in whatever, 50 minutes, call it.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty chill. And a lot of us will run to and from that group run. And then it's like, you know, you might have a workout. Like I might have a workout in the morning, then run to the group run, then run with you guys, then run home. And it's like, you get to run my evening run with me. But yeah, it's like, if you're just starting, we got a place for you. And if you're trying to get more serious, we got a place for you. And if you're already a world beater, if you're not a dick, we got a place for you. Cause I think that's
no dicks.
The
world's got too many of those already.
Yeah. When you know you're a lion, you don't have to roar, you know, it's like when you know you're a lion, you don't have to convince the world that you're a lion. You're just a lion, right? It's like when you know you're a world beater, you're fine running 11-minute miles with some plebeian that just wants to try to start running. It's like, dude, let's do it, man. Like, and the stuff that you tell a beginner and the stuff that they question and they go through is infinitely valuable, man. I mean, to tap into that beginner's mind again is infinitely valuable. So it helps everyone. I don't see that as an altruistic thing that I would do to just go run with somebody slower than me.
That's I like to ask everyone this question, but you just answered it. I'll ask you the question anyway. It's what are you leaving the world? You know, like what are you giving to the world? And you just answered that question, man. So that's,
let's hope so, man.
Good on you.
I feel on the hook to deliver on that. Every day I feel on the hook to deliver on that because I do. Like Muhammad Ali is a huge fan, or a huge idol of mine. I'm a huge fan of Muhammad Ali, like have been forever. Yeah. And I love the idea that, you know, you would give up your best fighting years to stand for something. And it's like, we've lost that. We are such sellouts. Every single one of us. We're horrible human beings. We stand for nothing. And it's like, I'm waking up to that energy every day. It's like, I want, you know, he said service to others is our rent for our space on Earth. You know, it's what we owe the planet. I agree exactly how I'm bastardizing the quote, but it's like it's service to others is that covers our space on Earth. And I think I'm on the hook for that one, man.
That's a beautiful thought to end on, man. That's really something. I wasn't quite sure what to expect coming into this conversation, but I have thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. So I really thank you for your time and your expertise and just dropping some knowledge and breaking down all that we did.
Yeah, man. If I can do anything, I got to run. Throw it at me and show up in Durango sometime.
Yeah, I'll drop you a line. Okay, for sure. But absolutely. I got to run right now.
Absolutely.
You guys have a good. I mean, you're probably going on for 3 more runs today. Just train hard, recover harder, and crush Leadville. But I'll be in touch very soon. Okay.
Beautiful, dude. Have a good session.